Summit, and I would like to invite Mike Belcher on the stage.
Okay, thank you. Good morning once again. On behalf of American Society of Safety Engineers, I'd like to welcome you to our Global Executive Leadership Forum on Occupational Safety and Health as part of Safety India 2015. Again, my name is Michael Belcher, and I'm going to be your moderator for this session. So at this point, this time, I'd like to please ask you to join me in welcoming our distinguished panelists. First up is Ms. Teresa Budworth from NEBOSH.
It is.
Teresa? And when I call your name, please come on up to the stage. Our next guest is Mr. Muralidhar. I'm sorry. I have pronounced that name several times. I thought I had it down. Muralidhar. Okay. Thank you. Our next guest is Mr. Kumar. Mr. Kumar is the president of GMS Reliance Industries. And forgive me for not saying it, but Muralidhar is chairman and managing director of LearnSmart India. Our next panelist is someone you heard from earlier today, Mr. Suresh Tanwar. Mr. Tanwar, of course, is the chief of Group Safety and Health for Tata Group. Thank you for joining us. And last but not least, Vice President of Public Safety Mission of Underwriters Laboratories, Mr. Venki. Mr. Venki. So please bear with us. We're going to get some technical things straightened away here. Okay, well, my distinguished panelists, thank you so much for joining us here today. The topic of this executive panel is challenges and opportunities for integrating safety into business operations. First, we hope to gain a better understanding of the perspective of our panelists have, or that you have, of safety and health in the organization. And then secondly, we'd like to talk about challenges and possible solutions to integrating safety in the overall business operations. I think this information and your comments will be very, very important to our guests here today. So let me start by let's start the questioning by noting that in many organizations, safety is considered a fundamental organizational value. So with that in mind, I'd like to begin by asking you about the role of safety in your organizations. Mr. Tanwar, why don't we start with you? And the question I have is, how do you instill safety as a value in your employees and in your organization?
Well, Mike, there are various ways, there are various indicators by which we can evaluate that whether we have done it or not. But the way to do it is, first and foremost, is to empower people. If a person at the downmost level in the hierarchy has empowerment to stop work that is unsafe, itself goes a long way in saying that the culture in this organization to a certain extent is positive. That's one way to go. The other is the senior leadership commitment that must be demonstrated from time to time. And it's only not the lip service, but walking the talk, practicing what the leadership preaches, and showing concerns. So instead of talking about the number of goods produced, number of cars produced, or the tonnage of chemicals produced, it is also important for them to ask if you have any safety concerns when they are on the shop floor. So that shows that the top management is very much they are omnipresent on the shop floor from time to time, and they are also concerned about the safety and the welfare of the people who are working on the ground. Third thing is that the management also gives a kind of a message that safety remains constant in changing times. Changing times means there are good times for business and there are not so good times for business. So if the business is down, if the particular business is in a particular cycle, when the business is down and safety remains constant, I don't think there's a better way to instill a safety culture than by demonstrating that. These are some of the views.
Very, very good. And I think your last answer especially, many times we hear that safety is a priority, but when you say that, that means it's something that can change. If it's a value, it would endure and last through good times and bad times. So I can certainly relate to that. Mr. Venki, how do you instill safety as a value in your organization?
Thank you, Mike. I will make this comment as someone who runs test laboratories in different parts of India and outside. An internal perspective of UL. The very mission of the company is safety, and we keep underlining this every day, that if we have an untoward incident in one of our test laboratories, where we have high voltages, high currents, and different types of testing environments, what would that do to our image? So the one thing that we try to do is to instill in every employee from day one the aspect of safety when we do work in our test laboratories. And here the singular theme that we have is the ability to listen to the faint voice. We all have the ability to listen to the loud voice, which is what we do, but then accidents always occur. They started long back with a faint voice. So are we able to adjust our antennae to a level where we are able to listen to the faint voice? That's one aspect. As a service company, the other thing that we insist on, of course, is safety as we drive to work and back, because we're a service company largely. And we see the single biggest issue is distracted driving as we come to the office. So these are the two things that we underline as an organization.
Okay. And so a good point about coming to the office. And I've had some discussions with some people here this morning, and we talked about safety off the job as well. And so many more people are hurt off the job than they are on the job. So another important aspect, I think, of making sure that safety is just embedded in all that you do. But thank you. Mr. Kumar, I'd like to ask you the same question about instilling safety as a value in your organization.
Yeah. Now, in Reliance, we have, of course, three sections. We have Reliance Petrochemicals and hydrocarbon business. Then we have Reliance Jio, Reliance Retail. I am with the petrochemicals business, so I will be limiting myself to that area of our business. You see, we have 2-3 things I would just say. One, as a principle or as a policy, we have displayed all across our business, sites business, I mean at the lowest level, that safety overrides all production targets. That is one of our basic principles, and it is followed. In case and persons at the site level, at the plant level, are authorized to stop a plant in case there is any unsafe situation. That sort of authority delegation is there. And second, we have complete governing system. I mean, the safety committees council goes up to the board level. We have every when the frequency changes, plant level committees, safety committees meet every month, then the site level every month, then we have at the center, we call it governance of council, and then we have a board level council. So any issue related with safety goes up to and discussed every quarter at the board level. Third is that each officer level, I would say, not the employees, but at the supervisor level up to the site president level, how much time you spend related with safety is part of our annual plan. Each annual plan is, and the first topic on everyone's annual plan of each and every employee, supervisor up to the highest level, executive committee member, is safety. What is your going to be annual plan, how much time you are going to spend on safety is considered as this one. Basic idea is to communicate to employees is that management is committed to safety. That commitment has to become visible. Of course, we do number of ways by communication, I mean, of course, now E is become this one, so emails are there, posters are there, the signboards are there. We have complete process safety management implementation, workplace safety management systems. Currently, we have, again, the management has gone into, in terms of risk, how to have risk identification, risk reduction, that is one thing. And we have as a value, again, we have got 10 rules. One of them is that safety is not a priority, it is a value.
Wow. Very well said. And of course, you know, the importance of senior leadership commitment cannot be overstated. It's walking the walk. It's demonstrating that in action each and every day, something we heard from Mr. Medina earlier. Last but not least, Mr. Murladar, what would you add to what we've heard this morning already about instilling safety as a value in an organization?
Yeah, first of all, let me tell that I'm not from the manufacturing industry as such, but I'm from the education industry where we have a self-assessment portal in India and Mexico and US and most of the globe. What I was thinking was we have to start educating even from the student level itself, what the safety is all about. In India, the buzzword today is smart cities, and every city would like to know whether they are in the 98 cities or not. But nobody knows what the smart city is. But everybody should know what safe city is. And recently in Vizag, there's a very, very massive accident happened. Is one of the girls gone into pothole and in the rainy, which is monsoon, and government or police or nobody could trace her for 48 hours. Just a pothole. And the death occurred, and they could trace the kid only after 48 hours. And is it not the safety concern of a small kid walking on the road and drowned into a kind of thing? And pothole death happened in Bangalore also. Recently, in the monsoon, we could have found at least about 10 to 14 incidents like this, which is not a safety kind of thing in industry level, but it's a road safety, it's a municipal corporation's duty that every time monsoon comes, every year monsoon comes, everybody knows that. But only monsoon comes, then everybody wakes up. Not prior to that. Why don't they start in summer so that everything will be fine? Bombay, of course, everybody knows what kind of horrible problems they face. But no one takes care. Well, I don't know, some policymakers here should make a note of this, is everyone knows that winter session and rainy season starts at so-and-so month or so-and-so month before or 2 months before. But you can see the statements after statements, right from Chief Minister to all the bureaucrats, that it comes only after the monsoon starts. So what I want to do is, let's talk more on safe cities than smart cities. If the city is safe or the town is safe, it automatically becomes the smart city. The safety is becoming a least priority in any kind of a policy makers, and nobody bothers about what kind of safety. And organizations like yours actually should propagate more on right from the school level, which we are ready to even offer our services to give the entire questionnaire kind of a thing given by you and assess the kids that how much safety points they know, right from the school, safety to the home, even to handle electronic gadgets, and their own behavioral patterns can be changed on safety. That's what my personal feeling is.
Yes, so very well said.
I can relate to what he's saying regarding monsoons, because in the UK, well, we don't have a monsoon, but we have snow. Throws the whole country into chaos. All the roads stop.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yet it's entirely predictable.
Everybody knows the snow comes in the same month. Why don't they wake up in the morning?
Exactly. Ms. Budworth, so we'll like to ask you a follow-up question relating to this. So maybe you have a different perspective because your organization delivers training to safety professionals. How do you view safety as a value proposition?
Well, I'd like to answer this from 2 points of view, actually. First of all, for health and safety within my own organisation, because we are a fairly small, fairly low-risk organisation. But I'm really echoing what some of my colleagues on the panel have said, that a lot of it is about your own personal behaviour as a leader in the organisation. because every conversation you have with your colleagues demonstrates really clearly to them what your values are. So if you are having conversations with people about, you know, how many phone calls did you deal with today, it tells them that that's what you're interested in. Whereas if you ask questions which are related to their safety, their health, or their well-being at work, it shows that that's what you're interested in as an individual. The other perspective that I'd like to apply to it about safety as a value is that, quite apart from offering the qualifications, I'm also involved in the judging panel for International Health and Safety Awards every year. And what I see there in the successful organisations that have exemplary and outstanding health and safety performance is that it's very much a visible commitment on the part of the leaders of the organisation, that they're demonstrating to their employees that it's something that has to be, you know, really at the heart of what they do. And as people here have also mentioned, that it doesn't stop at the fence. It goes beyond in terms of your responsibilities to your community, or your responsibilities for product stewardship, your responsibilities to help your employees to drive safely. And even in the respect of not expecting people to do a full day's work and then, you know, do a 3-hour drive at the end of it to the job that they're going to do the next day, that you consider those activities as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Tanwar, would you say that safety as a value does contribute to your organization's results? That safety contributes to your organization's results?
Yes, very much, because we know that there are 3 basic elements of why safety, and business results is one of the strong elements there, apart from humanitarian, and the other is legislative requirements that impact safety. So if there is an incident, and we have had some incidents which has impacted the production or the business, so we very much understand the linkage between business results and safety. Good safety is supposed good results.
Okay. And would the rest of you agree with that? Would your executives say, if they were here today, that safety does add value to their organization in the terms of bringing tangible results?
If I can make a comment there, as usual, we did a study recently, just going to be published shortly, on the safety measures that organizations take up. These are companies which are quoted in the US stock exchanges. Their performance over a period of a decade plus number of years versus their profitability and how they've been doing. We have clearly been shown that where there is a good safety practice, there is a better performance in terms of profitability, percentage points, whatever. So if you take the triangulation of different aspects like the cost of insurance, the cost of good safety practices, profitability, all these things do converge. So that's our observation.
Okay. While you're talking, let me ask you this. The nature of the workforce is changing, so we're seeing increasing ethnic and language diversity. How does this affect a multinational organization such as UL?
When we started looking at the Indian market much more seriously more than a decade back, we realized that we cannot be working in this country, in this huge market, with a point of a US company trying to do something. It cannot be that. So we said that our strategy is going to be in India for India. So we said that we are a company of safety science leadership. We have that knowledge available to us, but then we will use that knowledge bank and use it in a manner that suits the local problem statements, develop safe body of knowledge as is required for India. So what we have done is to see that we adapt and adopt as is required locally. So one is to develop body of knowledge which is very locally relevant. So that we are doing with collaborations with the various academic institutions and other organizations like the IITs. We are also developing specialized communication programs in different languages. Meant in this case, we're starting with school children, since you talk about education. And also working with the regulatory authorities. I believe that if we are to have a mindset where we say that somebody has got to do something about it, then that's not going to work. So we believe that we have to be an important ingredient in this whole change. There is a need for regulatory push, and there is also an important requirement in terms of demand. So we have to have consumers, be they factories, be they MSMEs, be they contractors, be they school students, be they parents, demanding safety. So a pothole, why should it be lying like that? And there also needs to be a regulatory push. We need to be working with the Ministry of Road Transport in this case, ensuring how do we audit roads better, what sort of technologies can be brought in. So the safety science leadership of UL comes in there. So we feel that the warp and weft of that, that's how the fabric is made, and that's what will really push for change.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, to add to
education, what would you add to that?
Yeah, to add to his statement, when he said that he's already working on the knowledge base on how to really make right from the student level to the higher level to understand the safety measures and the regulatory mechanism. But unless and until the social revolution comes and if the society makes a change for everything, and if society says that this regulatory system is bad and there is no regulatory force which is not valid now in this, especially in our country, is every regulatory method is completely changed. And even if I come with a policy rule, it's rule only there in the book. It's not implemented. If it is, what he said is it has to be strongly implemented. If there is no implementation, there has to be a fine or there has to be a huge kind of whoever is not adopting to that regularity, then they have to be punished. There is no punishment as such. And suppose if I have to buy a flat in any of the cities, and my last priority will be that whether the safety regulations are met in this whole thing. My first priority will be whether I will get the flat on time and my basic needs are there and amenities are there or not. But no one, I don't think anybody can check that whether my security is taken care or not. So it has to be a regulatory mechanism and it's a policy decision. It has to be forceful. Policy decision should be implemented. It's not just on the rule book format. And to add to that, either your organization or he's already making a lot of information on that. I can volunteer myself that we have over 1 million students coming onto our portal and studying not studying exactly, assessing themselves on science and maths right from standard 3 to standard 12, where they are assessing the entire thing. Even we have a lot of things on stories, and again after the story is over, we assess them on the point of questions. So we can build up stories on the security and safety angle and assess them that how much they know about it, how much they understood about that whole thing. I can even animate the entire thing and put it on the portal, free of cost. It's not a kind of it's commercial value, but it will actually ensure that even in the student level they have understood about the safety measures and security measures, even in the school point of view. Okay. That's the awareness. Awareness has to be built up right from the beginning than waking up after that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I thought those were some great answers. We're going to move on to our next round of questions, but I think if I can summarize what I heard here this morning, we heard 3 things that really characterize the fact that safety is a value in an organization. One is there's the senior level executive commitment that is expressed not just in words but through actions. Number 2, we've heard that employees must be empowered. Empowered to make a difference, and also empowered to shut down a process if need be, to raise your hand and voice a concern, and knowing that those concerns will be heard. Thirdly, as Ms. Budworth pointed out, safety extends far beyond the workplace. So it's not just something that occurs within the walls of a factory or an office building. It's something that you have to live and breathe. You have to be safe when you're driving home every day with your family, and so it's not just something, again, that happens at the workplace. So I want to thank you for those answers. We're going to move on because we only have a few more minutes. We want to turn to the business impact of safety, and the question for this part is, from a business perspective, how do your companies integrate their safety efforts into the business operations? We'd like to hear what your main challenges are. So, Mr. Kumar, I'd like to start with you. If you could tell our audience here, how does Reliance Industries approach the challenge of integrating safety into business?
See, go based on, we have like, you have any business, we say 4P. We have people, we have plant, we have process, and then performance. Ultimately, business means, performance is the putting in the cake. Now, so we follow that P. Yes, all processes, procedures should be well documented. So that takes care of that. Then for each process, there is an accountability fixed. Who is responsible, who is accountable for that? So we ensure that that is very clearly defined and is in practice, also is well known among the organization. Now, third is, yes, people. So the people, because ultimately what we are doing has to be, is by the people and all that. So people need to be competent. So one is, okay, when we say competence is one, that when you recruit, yes, that is first part, but then you give training. We have complete training department, and we have